2024. If you remember last time in Cole's kingdom, Cole had gone to the village square and the king had sent his envoys to talk to everyone about something. And the setting description, it was a very hot place, but it wasn't a very rich place. All of the buildings looked old. So let's take a look then at what happens next. Soon the doors of the building swung open and out marched a group of official-looking people in palace livery. Livery is the fancy clothes the servants of a palace wear. Underneath each was dressed in rich velvet in jewel-bright colours, so it was obvious that they were from prosperous Alfar. Prosperous means there's lots of money. Not like Furlin. Remember, Furlin, everyone's very poor. They were flanked by armoured wolves. Flanked means they were accompanied by, who snarled. Snarl is like a growl at the crowd until the Darians fell quiet. So the wolves are growling and snarling at the people. Among them was the same wolf, Surla, easily distinguishable by the grey streaks across her nose and her red cape. Distinguishable means you can tell who she is. A tall woman with a hollow-sounding voice stepped forward, unfurling a scroll. So a scroll is old paper, and she's uncurling it. Hear ye, the king commands you to be silent to hear the following proclamation. She paused and waited for silence. The seal of Furlin has been returned to us by an Elseworlder. So that's what Cole did. He's the Elseworlder. Hushed murmurs broke out in the crowd. Many eyes darted in the direction of the stone basin at the centre of the square, which sat dry, dusty and cracked. There was another pause during which the woman scanned the crowd to gauge the reaction. That's an interesting phrase, to gauge its reaction. She wanted to see how people reacted. So the author could have said she scanned the crowd to see how people reacted, to gauge its reaction. Then she said, King Enk has decided that the final Darien seal shall remain in the palace. Its magic, under the guidance of our wise king, shall persevere the future of our land for all time. Some seemed delighted that the seal had been found, but most were furious that the king was keeping it in his palace instead of restoring it to Furlin's magic well. Cole was beginning to sweat under his hot disguise. That utter fool, grumbled a nearby voice. As you may or may not be aware, the seal of Furlin is the final seal needed to complete our king's noble work to unite the powers of this land in perfect harmony. The willowy woman continued over the murmuring from the crowd. It is with great anticipation that we have awaited the return of the seal of Furlin to its rightful place in the palace. The same voice beside Cole cursed once more. That seal's rightful place is here. Doesn't King Enk see that he's destroying his own kingdom? Cole looked round to see a figure dressed in a dark cloak. Cole stared at it, but its face was obscured by the darkness under a heavy hood. Shorter than most of the crowd, the figure was easy to miss, but Cole thought that there was something secretive in the way that it held its cloak over its bowed head. Psst! Redbrush, Mika hissed in the direction of the stranger, when it lifted its head slightly to shoot her a sideways glance. Cole saw long delicate whiskers and dark red fur framing two large black eyes. So look, this is the character. To me, I think that's a red squirrel. We've got grey squirrels here in Bury and Manchester, but there is a species that is a red squirrel. There are the important people from the palace. There is Surla, the wolf who works for the king. This must be Mika here, whispering, and I'm assuming that is Cole, wearing his disguise. Okay, so let's see, we've got 3 comprehension questions to take a look at. I'll reread this extract. Soon the doors of the building swung open and out marched a group of official-looking people in palace livery. Underneath, each was dressed in rich velvet in jewel-bright colours, so it was obvious they were from prosperous Alfar. They were flanked by armoured wolves who snarled at the crowd until the Darians fell silent. Among them was the wolf named Surla, easily distinguishable by the grey streaks across her nose and her red cape. The question is, how would you describe the wolves in this extract and why? Press pause while you do that. Welcome back. So it said here, the wolves snarled at the crowd until they fell silent. So they're growling. So you could say the wolves are bullies because they're snarling at people to make them quiet. The wolves are nasty because, so the reason's going to be snarling. So it could be nasty, it could be mean, it could be bullies, it could be threatening or intimidating. And then it's going to be because they snarled at the crowd. I'm going to read this phrase, this extract now. A tall woman with a hollow sounding voice stepped forward, unfurling a scroll. Hear ye, the king commands you to be silent to hear the following proclamation. She paused and waited for silence. The seal of Thurlin has been returned to us by an Elseworlder. Hushed murmurs broke out in the crowd. Many eyes darted in the direction of the stone basin in the centre of the square, which sat dry, dusty, and cracked. So, the question is, which phrase means people looked? There is an expression which means people looked. Press pause while you write that. Welcome back. So the phrase is, many eyes darted in the direction. So imagine a crowd of people and their eyes all look at one object together. That's them looking. Their eyes darted. And this question is about that phrase. Many eyes darted in the direction of the stone basin. Why did this happen? Why did everybody look at the stone basin? Have a think and press pause while you write that. Okay, if you remember, the seal of Thurlin was stolen from this village by the king, and that's the reason they have no magic. So now their magic well is just an old dried up stone basin. So when the lady says the seal of Thurlin has come back, everyone looks at the fountain. So my answer would be, everyone looked at the empty fountain because this is where the seal of Thurlin belongs, or the stone basin is where the seal of Thurlin was taken from. So that's the end of this lesson, of lesson 24. Thanks for taking part, and I'll see you next time.